Hello, and welcome back. This is Coach Gerald again, and this is episode 3 of Stronger Than the Struggle. If you've not listened to episodes 1 or episodes 2, I encourage you to go back now, take an opportunity, and listen to those. They'll give you a little insight into how I came to be a runner and a coach, and insight into why most training plans don't work for those who are struggling with mental health and things of that nature. So today we're going to discuss, for example, what if the thing you keep putting off is actually the thing that could help you the most. Most people who need movement the most are the least likely to feel motivated. That's not weakness. That's how the brain works. And we're going to dive into more about how running is actually what can help some mental health issues and the struggle with why the thing that can really help you is not always the thing that you want to do. But I promise by the end of today's episode, you'll know why running works and you'll have a realistic first step, even if everything you're resisting starting to run or becoming more physically active. So let's dive into it. Why does running work for mental health? I mean, we have anecdotal evidence, and I can tell you it works, and I'm sure other people will tell you it works as well. But why does it work? Well, there's a stress connection. Running gives your nervous system somewhere to discharge. Your body already knows how to do this, but the mind doesn't always realize that it does. And so running gives you a way to reduce that stress, whether it's the stress from anxiety, the stress from depression, or the stress from grief. Your body needs a way to release it, and your mind sometimes wants to hold on to it. So what do? Well, we become physically active. For example, when we're depressed or we're dealing with those things, motivation follows action. It doesn't lead it. And what does that mean? Well, that means if you're waiting for the time or the place when you feel ready to get started, it's not going to happen. You don't feel ready and then go. You go and you get ready. By going, it helps you to feel different. That's what we say when we say motivation follows action. You have to put a plan in place to become active. It doesn't have to be a big plan, but you'll find the motivation, you'll find the will to keep going once you put it in place. And realistically, as I said, for those of us dealing with mental health issues, it would be nice if it did, but it doesn't go the other way around. We don't typically become motivated and then take action. We take action and find the motivation. And that seems kind of counterintuitive, but it's the reality. And the other thing is, running and physical activity activates the same neurochemical pathways as antidepressants. It activates our endorphins, our dopamine, and our serotonin. It's not a simple mindset to make ourselves feel better. That's biology. I have a bachelor's degree in biology, and so I know biology. And the weird thing is, I didn't always realize this myself when I first started running. I didn't know this was an actual biological thing. And after I started running and finding the benefits of running, I began researching it. And there's been multiple studies over and over again that prove this. If you'd like to know more about those, send me a message. I'll gladly send you more information about that. But it's not just a simple feel-good method, it's reality. When we become physically active, it does release endorphins into our body. It releases those dopamines. It releases those serotonins. I always say running is not the treatment for for mental health issues, but it is a treatment. And scientifically proven, it's a massive treatment. I know it helped me when I was in my darkest time. And I'm sure, confidently, both as a coach and as a biologist, that it will help you too. Being physically active is one of the best antidepressants. Because for one thing, it doesn't require a lot of monetary resources. Yes, you can get some of the latest and greatest running gear, but the reality, to be physically active, you just need shoes, and sometimes you don't even need those. You just need to go for that walk. You just need to go for that run. It doesn't have to be a large run. It doesn't have to be a hard run. It can be simple and easy. But just being physically active, it releases those antidepressant aspects. And the other thing is, it gives you back your agency. What does agency mean? It means it puts you in control. You A lot of times when you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with anxiety, you're dealing with grief, you don't feel in control anymore. You feel like your body and your mind are controlling you. I know because I've been there, and I'm sure you've been there too. So what does running do? It gives you back that agency, meaning it gives you back a sense of you being controlled. And even it's something as simple as a 5 or 10-minute effort can be proof that you can do hard things. You can do this thing that you want to do. And the reality is that evidence compounds. It adds onto itself. You're starting off simple as 5 minutes a day. It doesn't sound like a lot, but that's over half an hour in a week. And did you know there are 52 weeks in a year? Sure you did. We kind of all know that. But we don't sit down and think about what that means. That means if you were to give yourself 5 minutes a day to start off with, at the end of that first week, you will have had 35 minutes in your day that you, not someone else, you have taken control of. And then in a week or two after that, let's be very conservative and just do this every 2 weeks. So for the first week, you do 35 minutes the entire week, 5 minutes a day. I'm sure if you're like me and like most people, you can find 5 minutes in your day. Most of us can. And then after 2 weeks, on week 3, you increase that to 10 minutes a day. That means by the end of the week, you have chosen actively to control over an hour of your time towards physical activity. Now, I would like to see you make that all running or walking, but the reality is to make this really stick, it doesn't have to be running or walking every day. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about looking at your schedule and finding something that you find important and putting on your schedule. Not your to-do list, your schedule. Because the reality is, to-do lists get pushed away. If we say we want to do something today and we put it on the to-do list, let's be honest, the reality is it's very easy for life circumstances, for life events to push that off to tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. And it's okay. It happens to all of us. But if this is something that you want to take control of, that agency we talked about, then put it on your schedule. Carve out 5 minutes each day. Ideally, it would be the same time each day so your body and your mind get used to, okay, it's 5 o'clock in the evening, it's my walk time, or it's my me time. Remember I said you didn't have to spend all that running or walking. You can spend that doing things such as spending 5 minutes in a gratitude journal, spending 5 minutes in your Bible, spending 5 minutes in prayer, spending 5 minutes doing something actively designed to focus in on something related to your physical, mental, or spiritual growth. It's your me time. So week 3, what are we going to do? We could take that up to 10 minutes a day. I'm sure you can find 10 minutes in your day to have your me time, your active time that you're taking out to increase yourself. And I know some people says, well, I can't find that 10 minutes. But the reality is you need that 10 minutes. You know you need that 10 minutes. And I'm here to give you permission to take that 10 minutes. Because if you don't give in to yourself, if you don't build yourself up, you can't be there for your husband. You can't be there for your parents. You can't be there for your kids. There's a reason why on the airplane safety measures, they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first before you assist anyone else. Because if you are not supporting yourself first and foremost, you can't support anyone else. You will burn out, you will fall apart, and it will hurt when you fall. So take this opportunity to do something for yourself. And remember I said 10 minutes a day? That's 70 minutes at the end of the week 3. That's an hour a week you've been dedicating to self-reflection and self-improvement. And then you increase that again every 2 weeks. Guess what? By the end of 6 weeks, or at the end of 6 of those cycles, you've moved up to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and 30 minutes. So at the end of 6 cycles, which is approximately 12 weeks or 3 months, you've now found slowly and surely the ability to add in 30 minutes a day for self-improvement. And it wasn't a massive shift. You've been doing this over the course of 3 months, but your body, your mind has found time because you've slowly added it in. And so that's the way we can do things with running. But guess what? That means at the end of the 3 months, you've now increased your time from an hour a week to you're now doing 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week. That's 150 minutes a week. That's almost 3 hours. That's 2.5 hours of time you've dedicated to self-improvement that you took control of. And so by making these small efforts over time, we show that we have agency. We can control ourselves. We can control our lives. And it helps us realize that we are in control again. And running also grounds us. It pulls us into our body and out of our head. It's genuinely therapeutic for anxiety and intrusive thoughts. The reality is, when you're struggling with those issues, just getting out there and getting in that walk, getting in that run, it helps us reground ourselves and realize that our mind is lying to us. Our mind is playing tricks on us. Yes, if you're struggling with depression, anxiety, grief, we know sometimes our own mind lies to us. It tells us things are catastrophically worse than they are. We see the absolute worst scenarios that could ever happen. We go and a simple thing becomes a major issue. But what does running do, or physical activity especially? It pulls us into our body. It forces us to focus in for a short period of time to our breathing, to our footsteps. It helps us get out of those cycle of thoughts and things that drag us down and brings us into something that takes us away for a moment. And we realize as we step away that they're not as bad as they think they are. Our world is not falling apart around us. And maybe for some of you, it may feel like it is right now. And in some ways, it might be. But running helps you see that there is a world outside of what you're living through, and that you do have control over your life once again, and that there are things that you can take forward and step for. So how do I know all this? Well, if you were listening to episode 1, you heard my backstory. You heard the story of how when I lost my mother, I went into this dark, deep place that I could hardly get out of. And it was a place when I was no longer living. I was existing, and barely existing at that. I was biting off my daughter's head every time she'd leave a little thing. I was short-tempered with my wife, with my family, everyone around me. And I kind of knew it, but I didn't want to do anything about it. I won't say content, because I really wasn't happy with where I was at, but I wasn't really ready or willing to do anything. In a lot of ways, I had lost my agency. I wasn't in a place where I needed to be. And that changed. About a year after my mom's death, my wife gave me the catalyst, as you know, if you heard that first episode, that kicked me into gear. It forced me to look at myself and go, what can I do? And for me, I chose running. And I found an amazing community in that. I found hope again, being outside. It gave me those endorphins. It gave me those dopamines, those serotonin release. And like I said earlier, at the time that I first started this, I didn't realize that that was going to be an effect. I didn't realize that I was going to find friends that I never thought I'd find. The reality is, I've been in this local running community and now globally, to some respects, for almost 14 years. I started this journey in May of 2012. So next month will be 14 years I've been a runner. And along the way, I have found people that have put into my life in ways that I never dreamed possible, programs that I never thought I'd be a part of. When I first found 80/20 running, I loved the aspect of being time-based, not distance-based. It was a game changer for me. So much so it's how I coach. But when you first found that, and if you'd have told me that a few years later, I would be in a Zoom call with both founders of 80/20 Endurance, the writers of the book, I'd have thought you were crazy. But that happened. I had the opportunity to actually sit in a room with them and be supported by them. I had the opportunity to read the stories that Matt wrote with his journey with his wife and her mental health issues. He was raw, he was honest, and I commended him for that. In a lot of ways, his openness has helped me to be more open with my story. I found through 80/20 Endurance one of the most amazing business coaches who not only helped me grow my business, but helped me grow personally and helped me be bold about mental health and faith. These are things that would not have happened had I never started running. And if you'd have told me when I first started this that this would change my life so much, I'm not sure I would have believed you. because I was in a huge place. I was struggling. I didn't see any hope. To be honest with you, I didn't think I was ever going to get out of it. Or maybe I thought I would, but I didn't know how. And I didn't know what the path would take. I've said earlier, and I meant this, I didn't build this business from success. I didn't build this because everything was going wonderfully. I built it from survival. The things I teach you, the things I talk about, I know them well because I've been there. I've lived it. I've come out the other side. And I still have bad days. I still have weeks and moments that I struggle. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Most of us do. But I now know how to get through it. I know the faith components I need to get through. I know the physical components I need to get through. I know the mental health components I need to get through. I've been through the therapy. I've taken the medication. I advocate for them. You need to do what you need to do to get to the other end, and you can make it through. How do I know that? Again, because I've been there. So when someone tells me they can't get motivated, I don't try to motivate them. I lower the barrier until the first step is possible. A lot of times, coaches and people in the athletic community, if you tell them you're struggling, they'll look at you and they'll say, well, you're just lazy, or that's an excuse, and we don't take excuses around here. No, it's not an excuse. It's where you're at. And you may not be able to do what they're asking you to do at that point, both physically or mentally. Because the reality is, it doesn't matter if you physically can do what the plan's asking you to do. If mentally you don't believe it, you're not going to be able to do it. Mental is so much a component of running, and it gets downplayed a lot. Because our bodies can honestly do a lot more than what we give them capabilities for. There's a lot of things our bodies can do that we don't think we can. And because we think we can't, well, we can't. So what am I going to do? I'm going to help you find that entry point. I'm going to help you find that aspect where you can start at. And I'm here to tell you that that's okay. That it may take some time before you mentally realize what you're capable of. It may take some time before your mind catches up to your body. Or you may be right. Your body may be struggling. But it's going to take some time before you realize that you're not done yet. You just need a different aspect, a different approach. So what's one of the ways you can start? Well, one of the most famous ones is the run-walk method. Honestly, it's how I started. I started with a plan where I had marked out around my neighborhood a half a mile section. I knew where the quarter mile was, and it was like a halfway point of that little circle I did. And for me personally, I started out by running for a 16th of a mile and then walking for 3/16 of a mile. Yeah, I'm a math person, so that wasn't hard for me. And then I repeated that 4 times, and I did that 2 or 3 times in a week. And then I would up it the next week by running 2/16, which is an eighth of a mile, and then walking an eighth of a mile. And then I would run 3/16 of a mile and then walk a 16th of a mile. And then I built that up over 4 weeks. But it doesn't have to be like that, because I'm sure there's some people out there going, I don't want to do that much math. You've already lost me at this point. And I understand. It's not for everyone. But it can be something as simple as just doing by time. You can do something as simple as, okay, I'm going to run for 5 seconds, and I'm going to walk for 15 seconds. And then I'm going to repeat that for my time around the block, whatever that is. It could be something as simple as whatever you want it to do. However you want to structure that, it's the point of start. And it doesn't have to be for a half an hour or for an hour. It can be something as simple as just doing that for 5 to 10 minutes. Truth be told, you could even do it as effectively as I'm going to run to that light post and I'm going to walk to the next light post. There's an official name for that in the running community. We call that fartleks. But the reality is, they don't have to be complex. They can be that simple. Or you can just say, you know what, I'm going to run till I feel like I'm out of breath. By the way, I don't recommend this. You should be running slower. But I understand everybody's different. And when you first start out, you may feel like you're out of breath. So you may go, I'm going to run till I feel a little bit tired. And then I'm going to walk till I feel like I'm ready again. And then I'm just going to repeat that around the block. The reality is, there's no perfect way to do this. There's no quote-unquote right way to do this. There's the point of just getting out there and doing it. Or you may just say, you know what, I just want to start with walking. Guess what? That's okay. Walk 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back. Walk 2 minutes out, 2 minutes back, and call it a day. Hey, it's only 4 minutes. Well, that's 4 minutes and you weren't doing yesterday. The reality is you don't have to make this complex. You don't have to make this a big, huge plan. Performance is not the point of this. If all you're looking at is trying to do performance, you're going to struggle. It's the only metrics that matters to you. That's probably an issue. In my case, I'm not so much concerned about performance. And believe me, if you're an athlete that's interested in increasing your performance, I'll gladly help you with that. But I don't think performance, for those of us who are struggling with mental health, is going to be the only goal or the main goal. It can be a goal, but it's not the whole point. The real metric is, did you go? Did you get out there and did you do your activity today? As we said earlier, motivation is a result of action. It's not a prerequisite. You don't earn it by waiting. You earn it by going. So pick a time in your schedule. I always say, things that matter to us, we schedule. Things that don't matter so much, we put on our to-do list. So if this is something that really matters to you, something you want to do, block it out on your schedule. Make it time. And preferably the same place each day, or the same time each day. Because then your body and your mind get used to it. And you're kind of at the aspect of, okay, it's 5 o'clock. It's time for my walk. And that becomes part of your daily routine. It reduces the decision fatigue. It reduces the resistance to this because that's what you said that you're going to do. That's part of your daily routine. What are some of the common mistakes I see people, especially beginners? One of the first that I see, and it happens a lot, is when they talk about running, they talk about just giving it all. They start going too fast. And before too long, whether it's week 1 or week 2, and especially by week 3, they're burnt out and they're done. Running, especially at this stage, should not be an all-out effort. It shouldn't be something you do just to see how fast you could go. If you can't carry on a small conversation, 1, maybe 2 sentences to either someone who's literally next to you or someone who's imaginatively next to you, you're too fast. Slow down. And if that means starting out that you need to walk more, that you need to walk more than you run, so be it. There's no shame in that. That's where you're at. And the goal is to meet you where you're at, not meet you where you should be, not meet you where you think you should be, not where I think you should be, and not where your neighbor thinks you should be, but to meet you where you're at. So that means slow down. Take it easy. Because if this is not something that you can sustain, you're going to burn out. Struggling number 2 I see is skipping a day, whether it's due to scheduling conflicts or it's due to mental health conflicts. You just can't get the energy mentally to get out that day. So you miss one day and all of a sudden you declare, well, I missed a day. The whole thing's ruined. No. A bad day does not determine a bad year, does not determine a bad week. It's a bad day. So start again the next day. And if you have 2 bad days, start again the 3rd day. Don't let a bad day or 2 tell you that everything's ruined, that you're not a runner, and that you're not worthy of this, or this is something that you can't do. That's not true. You can do this. Whatever it looks like, it's what you're doing, and you can do it. Whether that's walking, walking, or running. It's okay, whatever it looks like. It's your journey, it's your plan, and whatever is necessary to make it succeed, that's what's necessary. Missing a day doesn't mean that you're totally ruined. It just means you missed a day. It means you had a bad day. Guess what? Sometimes it rains. And when it rains, it doesn't mean it's going to be a totally horrible week. It just means you had a rainy day. And the same thing is true in your training. The other thing is measuring everything by pace or distance instead of consistency. You know, people get into the attitude of, well, I have to run a certain amount of miles, or I have to run at a certain pace to be considered a real runner. I'm sure you've heard it, because I have too, the statement that, well, if you run under this pace, you're not a real runner. If you run over this pace, you're a real runner. That is not true. Success is measured by showing up. That's what you need to measure it by, is how consistently you show up. And as I said before, if you're struggling with that, it doesn't mean that you failed. It just means you have something to work on. It means you need to work on your consistency. Guess what? That's okay. You need to work on your consistency. Measuring by pace or distance is always going to, especially for beginners, cause you failures, because there's going to be days when your body just doesn't respond like you think it should. There's going to be days, if you're an older runner starting, that the plan may think that you can run 2 days in a row, but you can't. But if you're consistently showing up, your consistency is showing up, and that's what really matters. The other thing is that I am very passionate about, it's even my 2026 word of the year for Run Rev coaching, is community. Going it alone when community would carry you further is so much true. If you're struggling with mental health issues, there's a good likelihood that you have a tendency, like I did, to isolate yourselves. You don't want to be around people. You don't want to be around other runners because, one, you think, oh, I'm too slow. They don't want to be with me. Or two, you just don't feel that you have the mental capacity to be with people. And I'm not saying you have to. What I am saying is, whether it be a physical community or a virtual community, having people around you is going to help you sustain your running so much better than by yourselves. Because when you're by yourself, you get into that negative spiral of, I'm a loser, or I just can't do this, or you also just get into that negative spiral of, well, it's only 1 day, it's only 2 days. But having a community around you helps you understand that you're not alone. You can do this. What you're doing is adequate. What you're doing is enough, and can also help encourage you to get out the door when you don't feel like it. Because there are going to be days that you really can't, physically or mentally, but there's also those days when you just need someone to say, hey, did you go to run today? Not shamefully, not trying to hold it over you, but giving you that someone's going to check in. That can get you out the door. That can give you the motivation you need that day to keep moving, because you know that John's going to ask, and you don't want to let John down. And I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm saying it's a tool you can use. And by not using that tool, that can set you up for not being able to complete your program. So lean on that community. Letting one bad week become a belief that you're not a runner. As we said earlier, if you have a bad week, it doesn't mean that you're not a runner. It just means you're a runner who had a bad week. That's all there is to it. And a lot of times, especially if you're hanging around social media, you see the good things. Newsflash, people don't always show you the bad things. More than often than not, all they show you is the good things. You get a curated image of what their life's like. Occasionally, you get a bold pioneer who's willing to show you the bad days. But most of the time, what you see on social media is the good things, because they hide the bad things. They hide the days when they're struggling. They hide the days when they were supposed to be going out, but they didn't. You don't see those. You don't see the days that it was supposed to be a 50-minute run, but they made it 30. You don't see those days. Unless you're looking at the training plan, you don't know what they had planned. You don't know what's going on in their lives. So the reality is, you're still a runner. You're still a runner if you run walking. You are a runner. Matter of fact, it took me years before I'd even say that I was an athlete. I was willing to say I was a runner, but an athlete? Then I realized in my case, I was following a dedicated training plan. I was training for select races. Why wasn't that an athlete? Just because I was a back-of-the-pack runner? Just because I was a mid-pack runner? Just because I wasn't running as fast as the elites? No, that was silly. And it took me a while to realize that. So I want to tell you here too that just having one bad week doesn't make you a bad runner. And if you are a runner, you are a runner. None of these are character flaws. They're just patterns. And patterns can change. You can change them. You can change where things are going. So I want to invite you. If this resonates, but you don't know where to start, well, that's exactly what I do. That's what I'm here for as a coach, whether it be one-on-one coaching or just a simple strategy call. It's not just a training plan. I'm someone who understands what you're carrying and builds a training plan around your life. I love to say, and I stand behind this, your training plan should fit your life, not your life, your training plan. That's very important, because if you're trying to shoehorn your training plan into your life, I guarantee you it's going to fail, and it's going to affect you mentally. But if you look at your life and what you have available to give to your training plan, and you make a plan around that, it's going to be so much more successful. Whether it be just training for your own mental health, training for your own physical health, or training for a particular race. There is no one-size-fits-all plan. The best plans are going to be built around you. And yes, you can get stock plans, and I can even provide someone with stock plans. But the best is going to be always moving around your life. So if you're ready to talk, you can go to my website. There you can schedule either the discovery call to find out what services or things might be beneficial to you, or you can even schedule a one-time strategy call where we can look over your current plan and put together a plan for you and how you can go forward. There is a small cost associated with that, and I'd be happy to help you with that. But if you're not ready for any kind of structured plan, or you're not ready to look into coaching right now, that's fine. Keep listening. You'll know when or if you're ready, and when you are, I'll be here. But in the interim, I will be here in this podcast. I'll be here to help support and encourage you. That's what this was created for, is to be a bridge, to help you grow, to help you know that you are a runner, you are an athlete, and you deserve to be here. Because you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're just carrying more than most fitness plans were built for, and you deserve a coach who is built for that too. So next time, we're going to look at what it means to build a training plan around your real life. Not the life you wish you had, but the life you do have. Because that's where most plans fall apart. Until then, take care.